Welcome to the Mayo Experience Divisional Round game previews, spread picks. We might even get some free money at the end, although last week, not so free money, unless you went against the Andrew Curse, bet Titans money line like I did, and boom, you were in the money. Joining me in studio, it's Geoff Fienberg. What's going on, brother?
Chiefs on the bye week.
Did you know? Yeah, bye before a bye. Yeah, whenever Tim declares that there's a bye week as an opponent for anyone, that's when you jump on that other team pretty quickly. Although the Andrew Curse was in full effect once Mariota threw a touchdown pass to himself.
That was special.
You don't see that too often. First time since 1997, and Brad Johnson. I think that was like the first year I played fantasy, and I had Brad Johnson. I was like, this is great. This is going to happen all the time.
I don't know. I still can't believe they lost that game, but I don't know. The weekend didn't do much. It was a very uneventful football weekend, I would say.
I thought the games were actually quite good. Like, I mean, the Jacksonville Bills game wasn't good, but I watched all of it, and I was entertained the entire time. Entertained is probably a bit strong.
It just made me angry.
It made you angry? Because, let's bring him in. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to get to the picks. We're going to get to the game previews. But first, we need to mention Tim Triggered Gust.
Tim and August.
That is not my name either. You know what? Let's not even talk about the past. Let's just move forward to this week.
No. We need to get your full view on what happened to the Chiefs. Like, that's kind of crazy.
Everything that could have gone wrong went... I was so certain after the Chiefs recovered the muffed punt that it was over. I mean, I even said to my father, who had bet on the Titans in this game, I said, this game's over, Dad. And he said, you're right. And all of a sudden, just the kid missed the field goal. Mariota's throwing touchdowns to himself. And then I was out drinking keg beer and just...
Okay, by the way, you weren't drinking keg beer. I hate to tell you.
It was beer from a keg. That's keg
Geoff,
beer.
let me ask you this. When you buy those Heineken mini kegs, do you consider that keg beer?
He's so good. No, not at all.
Well, it's unquestionably it's keg beer because it's beer that comes from a keg that has a tap. Now,
it's literally like a consumer ploy, right?
Yeah.
Like that's like it's like a gimmick sales pitch that you fall for. I buy the 12-pack, buddy.
No. I mean, it was a disappointing. I mean, both the West Conference's divisions were thrown out in the first 6 hours of the playoffs. I don't know if anyone saw that coming. The Chiefs just imploded. They didn't give the ball to Hunt more than 5 times, I think, the whole second half.
No, before you jump in on that, I think what it turned out to be, Hunt got 5 carries or 5 touches in the second half. I think the Chiefs only ran like 14 plays in the second half.
Yeah, here's the thing, though, also to the running. Because I'm not in college anymore. My roommate from college, hardcore Titans fan, he bet big on the money line. He paid for his trip to Foxborough, which seems like a waste. But that's just whatever. All the power to any fan. I won't hold that against you. I kept bringing up the running thing. He's like, well, other than his one run of like 16 yards, they couldn't run the ball.
Well, once Kelsey got taken out of the game,
changed everything.
It was all over for the Chiefs offense.
I mean, we'll get there, but the strategy's got to be to like lay a head, break Gronk's leg, and then they might have a chance.
Well, I was shocked that the Jags didn't do that to Tyrod Taylor first, because that was the big thing for the week. Because I made the 2 bets. I bet on the Titans game and won on that one, and then I bet on the Jags spread afterwards, and it was 8.5. And I was like, oh, Peterman has 3 plays here, and the Jags have an excellent chance to cover if Peterman just does Peterman things. And what did he do? Intentional grounding, fumbled the ball, and threw a pick. It was close. And if Ramsey hadn't slipped, he was gone the other way for 6.
Sure.
It was the only chance I had left.
Yep. Fair. I don't know. I had the Jags on a Sunday teaser. I was way too nervous watching that game.
Wait, at no point did it ever...
Why?
Why?
Because you laid points with Blake Bortles, who's terrible.
I teasered them.
And it worked.
And you almost lost that. I mean, the Bills...
No. There was no almost losing in that game, by the way.
The Bills just run the ball on the goal line. The Bills probably win the game.
Maybe.
Cover.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But you're factoring in the fact that you're not factoring in that this is the Bills that we're talking about. So
yeah, okay.
Why did you assume they were going to do the smart thing?
No, the Bills are idiots. I get that. But the Jags are also foolish. The AFC playoffs are not worth watching. The NFC playoffs are going to be great. And that's all there is to it.
So now we know that the 2 games in the AFC this week are going to be razor thin. They're the ones that you want to watch. These NFC games are just going to be blowouts. Is that where?
I'll try to refrain from a kegger this weekend. And
kegger. alone with his dad in a mini Heineken keg, and we're going to call that a kegger.
No, I was at somebody else's house when they were having the keg.
It's not keg beer unless you can do a keg stand. And I hate to tell you, you're probably not going to be able to do a keg stand off the mini Heineken keg.
Well, maybe you can't, but...
Oh, really? Is this where we want to go with this, Tim? So you think that you can do a keg stand off a mini keg? I would like to see this videotaped. It's going to be like the time that he said that he was going to do a cartwheel. And then he said he was practicing after, like, aqua aerobics in the pool, which has no correlation.
Aqua body pump.
Okay, after aqua body pump with the other 77-year-olds that
They're
go
not
in.
that old.
How old are they then?
Mostly younger people in their 60s.
And you?
Hold on. I heard that you organize mall walks.
I don't organize them. No, I do not.
Okay.
There are organized mall walks.
Yeah, I believe that. I just heard you were the organizer of them.
I don't, but I wouldn't be opposed to being in an organized mall walking club. Like I'll lay my cards
And
up.
just let the people.
If you're in an organized mall walking club, Tim, does that mean you have to wear, like, how many pins and pieces of flair do you need to have on, like, your vest at the time?
I don't think you wear a vest. I think you wear a tracksuit.
Tracksuit!
And can you just let the people know how many different malls you hit up yesterday for walks?
I went on not one but 2 mall walks yesterday.
At different locations.
Correct.
He's walking around 2 different malls looking like Richie fucking Tenenbaum. Ridiculous.
No way is that to act on TV.
And he wouldn't even have the awesome, like, Adidas tracksuit. He'd have some, like, knockoff brand. He'd have the 2-stripe or the 4-stripe.
Okay.
Let's get into the games. First one up, Atlanta at Philadelphia. I'm sure Tim has a hot take about this. The over-under is 41 in this game. The Eagles are 3-point dogs at home. Should we recap last week very quickly? 2-2 for me, 2-2 for Tim, 1-3 for you, and 1-3 for the coin. That's how it all played out. So, Tim, I'm going to let you start with this one. So, let's get into it. Why do you think that the Eagles will win this game?
Yeah, I mean, you can't see it, but I am currently imitating George Sr.'s chicken dance. That's how confident I am. And then I will do Job's afterwards, which is the best. Like, I am so hyped for the Eagles this week. I think you got the Falcons playing well on the road as a dome team, in part because beautiful, perfect conditions in L.A., not that injurious to their chances. I think going to Philly in what will be, apparently it's not going to be super cold, but there's a chance it could be wet. Philly's had a week off. They have sort of worked I think they've spent the week working together, trying to figure out. The defense is still good. The defense is still all there. And the Falcons are still a very untrustworthy team. They should have beaten the Rams by, 3 touchdowns, 21 points last week? Like, the Rams turned the ball over twice deep in their territory, and all Atlanta could manage to do was to kick field goals. Like, Atlanta was not that impressive. Even though they beat the Rams just were dead flat. The Falcons are not impressive. Now they come into Philadelphia, into one of the most hostile fan bases there is, and they're favored, a 6 seed out of 1 seed. The value is clearly on Philadelphia. I think the Eagles knock them out. I think it's like 21-10 for Philadelphia. I like the Eagles a lot in this game.
I'm completely on the other side. Granted, I went 1-3 last week. The only game I won was the game that I said I was going to be betting. Here's the thing. I understand the Eagles being a home 1-seed underdog and in their first playoff game as an underdog as extreme motivation. They should be motivated. I expect them to give it their all. But quarterback play in this modern NFL really means everything. Not some of the part, it means absolutely everything. Let's not try to overthink this thing. Matt Ryan versus Nick Foles, complete mismatch. Nick Foles, since that end of the Chip Kelly run where he won me a fantasy title, so I love the guy. Is 5-11 ATS as a starter in this league. I think Atlanta beats them by the score that Tim thinks they're going to lose by.
I think if it's a close game, that's the Eagles' path to victory. Like, trying to walk it through. Like, how do the Eagles end up with the win here? You make Nick Foles throw as few times as possible. So, what's an optimal number of pass attempts besides 0 for Nick Foles? 20? Like, if he throws the ball 20 times in this game, they probably win, don't they? Because that means it's either close, they're able to effectively run the ball. If he ends up throwing the ball 35 plus times, they're screwed. It feels like, at least to me. So you're going to see a lot of Ajayi. You're going to see a lot of Blount. I actually think you see some of Corey Clement out of the backfield too. To me, all season long, he was their most impressive running back from a total skill set basis. Now, Tim lost all the cash in the world on Jay Ajayi rushing yards, even after he was put in a better situation. But I think the Eagles' defense is still good enough, and I think it's still underrated. And their special teams is excellent, and they're not going to have the type of follies that the Rams had, which really cost them the game last week.
By DVOA, Philadelphia finished number 1 on defense. There is no better defense in these playoffs than the Philadelphia Eagles. And so they could easily not. I mean, Atlanta could just get knocked out that way. If you take Julio Jones away, I don't see how Atlanta could beat them. Unless
you don't see how Atlanta could beat them?
Nick Foles could barely beat Oakland in a blizzard.
I think it's a bad line. If you like, this game should be like
Philly. No, the line. I'll tell you this: the line is exactly what it should be. The line is exactly what it should be, and I understand the Eagles and their fans being motivated and still turned up for it. But this line isn't bad. The line is what it should be. It's supposed to be beautiful, over 50 degrees.
Well, the over/under is 41 in this game.
Seems low then.
Doesn't it seem low?
Although, I don't know, I kind of got like a 24-13. Tim said 21-10. So, I mean, my guess on a final score is under, but gun to my head, I'd say under, but the number seems awkwardly low.
So we talked about Philadelphia, the number 1 defense, like Tim said, by DVOA. The pass rush is also very good for the Eagles. But on the other side of the ball, I mean, when it was Carson Wentz playing quarterback for the Eagles, the offensive line deficiencies after Jason Peters went down weren't really super pronounced. Like, basically, Carson Wentz was the deaf guy who was greased up from Family Guy, and just every time that you would try to get him, he just slip right out. Every single time. Nick Foles isn't going to be able to do that.
It was incredible. I was so impressed how well they played post that Peters injury.
Yeah, but a lot of it was Wentz. I mean, even when you look into the situations they would get themselves into, that the Eagles were the best team on third down. Like, they were converting 3rd and 11 at like a 50% clip throughout the course of the season. Like, it just, all of that stuff goes away when Foles is there. So sustaining drives, like, if their running game doesn't show up, but it could show up. They have enough bodies to be able to do that. I kind of want to take the 1 seed +3 at home. I can envision a scenario where they win this game and just muck it up and grease it out. A lot like how Tennessee did in the second half last week. Just keep running the ball. Even when you're down in the game, just keep running the ball. Keep milking that clock and hope to get luck into a good turnover, luck into a good field position somewhere. And where they're so good on defense and special teams, they might be able to create enough short fields for themselves they can win this game.
Think about the way the Falcons played against the Patriots, which is the worst defense in the NFL. They scored like 7 points in that game. If Atlanta looks like that in terms of their offensive production, they don't have a chance. So, like,
sure.
Like,
you're right. You're right. If Bill Belichick is scheming this one, and it was 2 months ago, they're in trouble. But has Atlanta not really taken off almost since that game offensively, yards per play, all those things? So you want to reference the game before that they
got good?
Yeah, before they got good.
How about in week 16 when they scored 9-10 points offensively? Last week they scored 26 with a ton of short fields. I'm sorry, Atlanta leaves me ice cold. I think the world loves them, and the books are going to need Philly, and you want to be betting with the books. That's my opinion.
That's
sort of there a number there?
I don't have the number on me, but like, how many people have you talked to so far this week would be like, Philly, besides Tim, that's the play?
Well, hold on, because I'm seeing -2.5, -115, and I'm in on that, and it came down from a 3. So what's that doing?
Well, it could be just severe reverse line movement. Now they could be trying to trap you into the Atlanta side. I'm very torn on this game. I don't have a strong
I'm happy to be trapped. I don't think the Eagles can win the game. I don't think the line is wrong.
I don't think
quarterback play is so important.
I don't think the line is wrong
and I'm
either.
telling you this, I see this game working out where they are hooting and hollering for Suddyfeld to get it.
If Carson Wentz were in the game, what would the line be?
-6.5 Philly.
Similar to the New Orleans line.
You really think that Carson Wentz is worth 9.5 points? Aaron Rodgers isn't worth 9.5 points.
He was. He actually was. The game he left, it was the biggest point spread line mover in the history of modern football point spreads.
And Carson Wentz is worth that many points? outrageous. No chance. Bad number. Take Atlanta at your peril.
See,
If Carson Wentz is in, it's Atlanta -5.
No, it's
Philly -5. Philly -5.
Atlanta's also the front end of a money line parlay. It's free money.
Atlanta?
Philadelphia is the front end of a money line parlay and a teaser that can't miss.
Good job.
All right, so
you're not
you're
taking the field goal,
teasing them to what?
We're going to tease them to 9 because it's a 6-point money line, a teaser. We're trying to win some money this week.
So after last week's free money debacle,
Can I? Why wouldn't you just be going to 7 points to get it to the 10?
Because
I don't want to.
Because I think they're going to win the game on the field. I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to take Philadelphia in this spot. I just think 3-point underdog in the playoffs at home. The defense and special teams are good enough to win this game for them. It's not, I don't know, you're getting the 3 points, they could lose by a point. Although I think if Atlanta wins, it's probably like 14 or 17, and the Eagles just look disastrous the entire time. But I do think this game is going to stay close enough through the running games. And we've seen like Freeman have ball control issues before. I mean, Tim talks about that Saints game where Atlanta wasn't able to post points. They moved the ball fine in that game. But every time they got into the red zone, they basically turned it over. So if the New Orleans defense is going to do that to you, Philadelphia is sort of like the amped up version of the Saints defense. So I think that's going to cause a lot of problems. Let's see what the coin says, though. The coin likes
Philly.
The coin likes Atlanta.
Shit.
Why? The coin's all right.
I just want to be off everybody.
You just want to be completely opposed on this game?
Yeah.
All right, next game, Tennessee at New England. This spread is down to -13.
I just want to say I'm betting real money.
On Atlanta?
Atlanta.
Just like last week. You went
Yeah.
1-3 and you won all the money in the world.
Atlanta.
Tennessee, this opened at 16.5 right after the game. It's now down to 13. The over-under is 47.5. That's the highest over-under of the week. After I had Siege on the Draftkings show yesterday, he seems pretty convinced the Patriots are going to win 50-0. I don't know if it's going to be quite that bad, but Tim, you're the Tennessee aficionado here. You loved the Super Bowl Titans, according to you.
I mean, I think that 16.5 I'd have taken the Titans. At 13, I'm taking the Patriots. I think this is like a 14-point game. I really do. It's the sort of game where New England, listen, next week is everything for them. They need everybody healthy, everybody 100% ready for what will be an absolutely fantastic AFC title game. But that requires Gronk not getting hurt. That requires the running back who's become fantastic, Lewis, not getting hurt. It means keeping Brady from not getting too many needless shots. They get up in this game like 21-0. The Patriots roll back some of the gas. The Titans get some cosmetic points. I think I wrote it down as 28-14, which means I like the Patriots to cover the -13. If it was at 14, it's a no bet. And over that, I wouldn't bet it. So this is the game I'm least confident about. But because it's our last chance to make a 14 money line parlay and teaser, we'll tease the Patriots down to 7 and we'll put them on the money line parlay. But I have the least confidence in this game. Wouldn't shock me if it was kind of close because New England really is thinking about next week. But that's all I have to say about it.
I see a lot of backdoor potential in this game for the Titans, that they get down by a bunch. I mean, the Patriots, per DVOA, have one of the worst defenses. They're not a bad scoring defense, but if it gets to the point where they're up like 35-7, they just might phone it in for the rest of the game and be like, yeah, have your points, Marcus Mariota, go run around like a crazy person. So I think that's on the table. Injury-wise, Burkhead's going to be back for the Patriots. Hogan's back to full health. That's important for them. DeMarco Murray not playing on the Tennessee side of the ball. But, I mean, maybe giving Derrick Henry 20 touches in this game is, that's how they have to play this. Give the ball to Derrick Henry over and over and over. Try to extend some drives, milk some clock, give Brady as few touches as possible. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that exactly, but I do think they can backdoor here with a big Corey Davis play or a Delaney Walker play. So I'll take the Titans +13.
This is the biggest postseason gas can we've been given since Tebow played the Patriots.
What about last year's Houston? Wasn't that 16?
Yeah, that was a big number too last week. Yeah, Houston on a Saturday night.
Houston covered, didn't they?
No.
Or they covered my teaser then.
They covered the teaser. They did not cover the spread.
Okay. Patriots won 41-10, I think, in that Tebow game or something like that.
Let's not act like Mariota's Tebow all of a sudden.
I'm not, but I think this thing is going to be pretty lopsided. I take the Patriots quite easily.
Quite handily? Yeah, and
Yeah.
the coin is doubling up with the Patriots as well.
I have 3 bets this week. This will be the smallest of the 3, mainly because I won't really be able to watch this game. I don't think that's going to matter because it
Who cares?
seems pointless.
The game doesn't. People may not realize this, but the outcomes of the game are not really affected by if people actually watch them or not.
Sometimes
Thank you.
but sometimes
Yeah, but you don't need. Yeah, no. The games are affected whether you pick them or not. You don't need to watch the games
I don't know.
in order for the effect to go out of control. And
I truly feel I need a beat if something might happen without me on third down.
I feel the exact same way.
I really feel like I need to be part of it.
People are lunatics.
I am a self-acknowledged lunatic. Back to this game, I think it's, I don't know, man. Tennessee is just to me such a joke.
I will say one of the biggest routes that I've ever seen in any sort of game was the
AFL 50th anniversary.
Yeah, when the Patriots in the snow and Brady just came out and waxed them. I remember I had Keith Bullock on the show like a year and a half ago, back on my old show, and we talked about that game. He was like, it sucked. He's like, we didn't have proper like snow cleats when we showed up. We had to play in regular cleats. No one could stand on the field. So that game just sticks out.
I remember people
Tennessee at the Patriots, and that was like what, 60-0, 53-0.
It's the AFL 50th anniversary. Because the refs were in stupid outfits.
I just see backdoor potential. This isn't going to be a big play for me whatsoever, but I'll have a little piece on Tennessee. Tennessee money line?
No. I mean, you talk about calling off the Wolves. I don't see...
I kind of agree with him on that. They do need to... It's Gronk specific, I think, but if they do get up by a bunch in this game...
They use the running backs. They throw screen passes.
Sure, but you let Gronk block or you take him off the field and you're like, hey, Mike Gillisley, you're active for this game.
Do you know how many times I've bet against the Patriots like on a teaser? So I'm getting like 18 to like 21 points. And it's like the fourth quarter, and you think like it's just time to run for 3 yards, use 35 seconds of a clock, and keep going. They don't do that. They don't.
No.
And I get that. I get what you think is next week, but they don't do it. And add in the fact that the ESPN story.
That's fake news. We've already been over that.
But it's fake news to make them kick ass.
Yeah, but I think everyone knows it's fake news. It was planted by the Patriots to get them all fired up for this game.
Mike Mularkey versus Bill Belichick. Okay, maybe it comes...
former divisional matchup.
Maybe the Patriots win by 14, but no less, even though it's not my most confident play.
All right, so Patriots for you, Tim and the coin, Tennessee for me. Next game, Jacksonville at Pittsburgh. The over-under in this game is 41. Blake Bortles coming off a truly horrendous performance. Got it done with his legs, though. The thing is, the Jags D is still pretty good. And we saw this game earlier in the year, so Tim, by your logic, this spread should be like Jacksonville by 14.
No. I mean, I think the numbers, I actually think this is the right number. I thought it would be higher, but I'm glad to see that.
It was
I got it higher.
It was higher earlier in the week. It was 9.5.
I've got real money. I got real money on Jacksonville plus 8.5.
Okay.
That's pretty outrageous. I mean, I understand it. I don't think they have a chance.
Oh.
I think this to me would be the biggest upset of the week. Bigger than Tennessee, in my opinion.
What are you talking about? They've already beat them this year, you lunatic.
Because the worst quarterback in the field by a long shot is starting on the road. Brown, we've seen him. We saw a video of him. Brown is fine. Brown is healthy. Pittsburgh is going to eviscerate, in the technical sense, of the Jaguars. They're going to rip their guts out. I don't think Jacksonville has a hope in heck.
I feel so
you
good.
You can make this minus 14. You can make this minus 18. You can make this minus 20. I would take the Steelers.
Bet me. 18. Give me 18.
This is a 47-17 sort of game.
Out to lunch.
47-7.
You're lost, kid. Doctor.
Absolutely knocks them out.
Doctor, you are out to lunch. Pittsburgh hasn't even been good since Shazier went out. I think they're 1-4 covering numbers since he got hurt, Pat. And that was only against the game, the Texan game, where a guy I never even heard of came in and played some quarterback. They struggled against Flacco. They struggled against Hundley. They struggled against a lot of shitty quarterbacks. Bortles, if I trusted Bortles more, Pat, this bet would be enormous. It would be enormous. This is way too many points. Way too many points. He can't play any worse than he played last week. Bortles with his feet now, that's a thing to get us first downs. It's going to be a hell of a game. Hell of a game. He is out to lunch. You give me 18 points.
Hey, listen, I offered him last week. I offered Tim minus 19.5 on the Jags versus the Bills. He wouldn't take that bet.
These Jags are a fraud team, and I'm glad that we will finally get to see them exposed as the frauds they've been all year. They've been dining out.
I can't wait till they win.
Schedule.
Yeah,
I can't wait till they win. I think they can win this
So
game.
do I. I actually think that Jags money line isn't the most outrageous thing in the world here. And
They've
it's
got
all
no
about
chance.
no chance. That I mean,
Pittsburgh
they have a chance
Pittsburgh's
here.
on the teaser. Pittsburgh's on the money line.
This is the
Jags
game. This is the
teasers.
game that ruins it. Philly doesn't ruin it. The state of Pennsylvania is going to let you down one way or another here, Tim. But Jacksonville and their defense from last week, the one thing that they were able to get exposed a little bit by was just Tyrod's mobility and the fact that the Bills don't pass, so it takes away the single best thing that they do: attack the quarterback, force people into bad throws, and then boom. They're creating turnovers. They're creating sack opportunities. Buffalo just didn't give them a chance to do that. You know that that's going to happen this week. I don't think that Ben plays a bad game, but I think they do. They can make him look kind of ridiculous.
I think he is lost, and the problem is this line is what it is, Pat, because people think like him. People think like him. People think there's no chance for this Jacksonville game. Tim, since week 8, Pittsburgh's beaten 2 teams by 5 points. One of them was the Texans. The other one was Houston on a short week at home.
Correct. Although they also had a game ripped from them against the Patriots.
I don't care.
I do.
Now they should be laying this number against the best defense in the league.
A team that's already murdered them earlier this year?
I'm telling you, Pittsburgh could win. Pittsburgh could win by 14. Whatever. But his analysis is off.
His no chance analysis.
His analysis
feels
is off. His analysis that this game is a bigger upset than Le Titan. That's insane.
Well, he is an insane person.
Once the Titans have pulled off one upset, you can start to make the case for yourself.
According to you, the Jags pulled off an upset last week.
No, they were, I thought, 2 evenly matched teams, and we
Lucky
saw
to
that.
win.
There was
I'm
nothing
sure.
evenly matched about that game. The Jags dominated, but Blake Bortles couldn't make a 5-yard throw.
McCoy at 70% made that defense look pitiful.
Bortles can't play worse. Bortles can play better.
I like that Tim says that he made them look pitiful. They gave up 3 points.
I would have.
They're bad though. They're a bad defense.
Bell.
If they didn't get a shutout against Buffalo, that means that they're probably the worst defense in the league.
There isn't a DFS lineup I'd make this week that didn't have Bell in it, for example.
Sure, but Bell's going to eat either way. When they got waxed earlier this year, Bell had 10 catches.
Do you also remember, like, originally before everyone hated Blake Bortles, that he was this, like, love child of a lot of fantasy people for his muck abilities in, like, the second half?
Yeah.
And that kind of went away? Blake Bortles in his career as an underdog of 7 or more points. 4-1 ATS. Guy can muck it muck. Guy can muck one up for us.
So you're saying there's backdoor potential to be had here, too.
That's how good Blake Bortles is, baby. Brings the backdoor into play. You want to know something really sad? I'll own this. I have a Jacksonville Jaguars to win the Super Bowl future I made before last week, and I kind of alluded that I had one on the show when I'm like, I think the Bills are such a free pass that taking this team at 22-1 to win the Super Bowl is worth it. There was a moment on Monday, Pat, where the book I made this line at plus 22-1, had them at 23-1 this week because they look so bad and everyone thinks they suck. I couldn't go back in, but I was like, what? This is like when you bet a team to win the NCAAs or something and they win their first round game. You expect the line not
to drop, not go up.
No, you don't even expect it to move, right? Because like they were like a 12. I couldn't believe it went the other way. That puts into perspective how bad, and maybe they are actually bad, but the public thinks the Jags are worse than they actually are. And that's dangerous, and that's why we got this number.
It's going to be 16 degrees Fahrenheit in Pittsburgh on the weekend.
I feel like that benefits Jacksonville and their defense.
Florida team coming to Pittsburgh in that cold, oh boy, it could be.
How many is this Ben's last game of his career? Is this Le'Veon's last game in Pittsburgh? Is this like a new era that I'm gonna get so much hate mail from Pittsburgh people? I think it's gonna be a game. That's
all we're arguing is that this isn't going to be a blowout.
Sorry, I've become way too emotional in the last 4 minutes because of his ridiculous take. I don't need this like, oh my God, you're an idiot who thinks Jacksonville can win. Even though like I think
believe
they can
win.
They can.
I don't think that they're necessarily going to win, but there is a path for them to win here.
Yeah.
Not no chance. They're bad. They lose by 40.
Pennsylvania, I have complete faith in you this weekend.
Yes. If you couldn't tell, I'm betting this game.
Yeah, I'm going to be betting this game a bit harder now, too, now that we've gone down to it. So you and I are both on the Jags +7. Tim and the Coin are on the Steelers -7. Next game. New Orleans at Minnesota. Minnesota's free ride, potentially, to the Super Bowl, which Tim and I will be going to. Well, not the actual game, but we'll be there Media Week on Radio Row. We got our first guest book, Sean Merriman. Lights out. You got any good questions? My questions were all challenge-related for when he was on Chains vs. Stars. But.
Not really. He's kind of overplayed.
Yeah,
Kevin Mawai ruined his career. You can ask him about that. I was at the game.
I just thought that after he went to Buffalo, people were like, ugh, you got the stink.
No, but he lost his edge, and that's when a lot of the steroids came. After Mawai tore his leg up. Dirty. That's part of it. To your point about Patriots Titans, the Titans are a dirty team. They're a dirty team.
Stop saying mean things about Kevin Mawai.
Great leader, but he's a dirty MFer, and they coach dirty. Jeff Fisher did, at least as Le Titan.
Do you think he's coaching dirty from his couch right now after trying to take credit for the Rams? He's like Tim. As soon as he tried to take credit for the Rams, they immediately lost.
Yeah, no, the best thing I heard is you ever playing old video games and you're whooping this guy online and it's 21-0 at halftime.
And he quits?
No, he doesn't quit. And then the second half starts and you lost 35-21. The first half was coached by Fisher, and then he called in the whiz McVay to come figure it out.
He called his buddy up?
Yeah, his older brother to come down and save him.
All right, so this game, New Orleans at Minnesota. It's -5 for Minnesota right now. It's a rematch of Week 1. The over-under is 46.5.
There's been big movement here, because I saw 3.5 on Monday.
Opposing quarterbacks coming in to Minnesota this year have been dreadful. Just awful. They have just defensively at home this season, the Vikings have laid a beat down on everyone. So, Geoff, I'm going to start with you here first. Which side are you leaning with the -5? Because that's right in that zone being I think if you bet New Orleans +5 in this game, you might as well just bet them on the money line.
I do agree with that. This is actually the one game where I haven't decided how I want to bet it. But before I make my case for the game, because I know Tim loves these things, because I'm sure it would have mattered if the Chiefs were in New England this week. But does the Week 1 game mean anything? Because it means 0 to me, but I'm sure it means a lot to Tim.
No, not really. Bradford was the quarterback that day, so not really.
Now they have a better quarterback. He's on the case.
Maybe.
I'm expecting a really exciting game.
Is this game of the week?
Oh, yes.
On paper, there's a reason it's the main event of the weekend. All right, I hate this. I hate this game.
Okay.
From having
you take this side, and I'll take the other side. You make the case for New Orleans to win. How does New Orleans win this game, Geoff?
They just Case Keenum has never played a playoff game before. We spoke about that last week, and I know Mariota pulled a rabbit out of his hat, but we saw how that affected Goff.
And we saw how it affected Bortles too in his first playoff game.
Yeah, and Tyrod, and we saw who's here. Is this the first playoff coached game by Zimmer?
No, he
they've
coached
made
the game that the Seahawks won because.
Yes. Sorry,
the short field goal.
Just trying to remember that because
when Lois Einhorn shanked it.
Just how they run the ball. Drew Brees, give me Drew Brees at the window +5 points. That's the thing that scares me is I saw 3.5. And you'd have thought people like Drew Brees and just the team that's cooler. They have the sexier offense, sexier names, a Rookie of the Year, a Hall of Fame quarterback. But this spread has gone to 5. So somebody is laying the wood on the Vikings.
I would say from the New Orleans point of view here is that the offensive line for Minnesota has been needed to be readjusted a little bit. They're dealing with a few injuries. The pass rush for New Orleans is still really good. So if Jarek and Latavius can't effectively run the ball on the early downs and get them into 2nd and 6s or 2nd and 5s, that kind of thing, and they're forced to play at a shotgun the entire time, I think the Saints defense can get to Case Keenum. He's very good at moving around in the pocket.
Did they do a great job versus Carolina on the ground last week?
Did they? Carolina really can't run the ball, though. Cam's their running back. They shut down
you
Jonathan Stewart. Yeah. Carolina did a really excellent job of shutting down New Orleans' running game. last week. And then, unfortunately, Drew Brees just passed all over them. So I think that goes that way. And, yeah, if they can get Kamara and Ingram going, it's going to be tough against this Vikings defense, which is really good. But I think the first start for Case Keenum, the week off, and the fact that everyone is, except for Tim, is expecting the Eagles to lose, and people are already talking about, oh, Minnesota's got the free ride right
There's
to the
a
Super
reason
Bowl.
no one's done
They're
it
going to play
before.
a home Super Bowl game. I think that's going to get to them.
It's a reason no one. It's a reason. Sorry, Tim. It's a reason nobody has played in that home Super Bowl before is because it is not easy to do, and it is quite simple. The case
Also,
for
where they used to have the Super Bowls, it was like one of like four.
Yeah, it
cities.
was Tampa, Miami, San Diego teams
New
that didn't make
Orleans,
the Super
yeah.
Bowl. Yeah, very true. That being said, I mean, it's easy to think like they can run the ball and Drew Brees can pick me up enough third downs to win this game. So that is the case, and it's an easy because of Drew Brees and even Sean Payton. It's not hard to make the case here for the New Orleans Saints.
So, Tim,
even though I believe Minnesota wins, but give me 5 points.
The coin likes the +5. Tim, which way are you going on this?
So I like the Saints in this game, and let me explain a couple of reasons.
He's reversing on his Vikings here.
The
one team he's been right about all season long. He's reversing.
Sorry, didn't the guys make a claim that Tim has to not?
No.
Okay.
Here's the key. This is the heartbreak time slot. The 5:40 time slot on Sunday is the heartbreaker. And I'm going to go through a little bit of history here to explain to you why the Vikings, a tragic team in and of themselves, are just destined to lose this game. 06, Bears are favored at home, lose to a underdog Panthers. 07, a 14-2 Chargers team get knocked out by the Patriots at home as a favorite. In 2008, the Cowboys, as the number 1 seed, get knocked out by the Giants. The next year, the Steelers roll San Diego. The next year, a heavily favored Chargers team gets knocked out by the Jets. The next year, a heavily favored Patriots team gets knocked out by the Jets. The next year, a heavily favored 15-1 Packers get knocked out by the Giants. Patriots blow out the Texans. The Broncos, in a super close game, knock out the Chargers. The Broncos get knocked out by a heavily underdog Colts the year after. Denver and Pittsburgh play a super close game in 16 that Pittsburgh wins if they aren't playing a third-string running back and backup quarterback. And then last year, Green Bay knocks out a relatively heavily favored Dallas team. This is the heartbreak spot. Year in, year out. The Vikings are already a cursed team in terms of their history, in terms of their luck. They will be. It doesn't matter what Philly does. The Vikings will be favored in every game they play this season, no matter who they play, even the Super Bowl. They'll be the favorite. And so everything is setting up for a Minnesota success story. Heartbreak and tragedy bestrikes them in a Shakespearean way against Drew Brees. A rematch of that. That NFC title game is probably the game that gnaws the most at Vikings fans against the Saints. Drew Brees was there. He gets them again. I think the Saints win on the field. I think they win it 24-23. That's very close.
So you're saying the bye is a bad thing?
No, he's not saying the bye is a bad thing. He's saying it's this particular time slot has been
Every game I gave you, that's the last game on Sunday time slot. This is the heartbreak slot. And, of course, the loser team has always had a bye. 8 of the last 12 years, team has lost outright. 2 others, it was super close. 2, it wasn't a contest. Everything, and the Vikings are just so – you look at the teams that keep losing these things. Dallas, San Diego, Dallas, San Diego, and Chicago. I mean, these are cursed teams that have no playoff success.
As a fan of the Chargers, and I always feel like we have the worst luck, the only team that I sometimes feel like peeks into my area is at least there's Browns and there's Bills.
I was gonna say the Chargers are more close to the Browns and Bills when it comes to luck than the Vikings.
I don't know, man. The Vikings, they've had some scorched earth.
Sure, but I feel like the Vikings are one step above that level. Maybe it's like Vikings, Chargers, then Browns and Bills down at the bottom.
Yeah, well, because like the Vikings, the Chargers at least have gone to the playoffs to experience that heartbreak.
Sure.
And the Vikings have gone closer, to the cusp of Super Bowls and experienced that heartbreak.
So did the Bills. The Bills went to 4 straight.
Yes,
just not in modern
and they
times.
missed a kick to win a Super Bowl.
Also, I did want to bring up before I completely forget about it. When the Bills Mafia traveled to Jacksonville, did you see the Jacksonville guy that they were trying to replicate? He got caught on fire. What an amateur.
Just like that, though, it seems like the whole Bills Mafia thing and the table thing is going to be jumping the shark. And there's authentic table people that are like, this is bullshit. And the Chargers are at the Ralph next year. So who wants to, let's get like Eric Young and have him powerbomb me through a table. that tailgate. I'm just going with New Orleans.
You're taking New Orleans as well?
I don't love it. I kind of disagree on the aspect that they wouldn't lose a close game. I could very well see that being a very close game.
Let's swing it around the other way then. Minnesota's path to victory here. They have the better defense. That helps.
Their path to victory is just being the team they've been all year.
Yeah, their path to victory is Case Keenum doesn't turn into a pumpkin. If Case Keenum just plays like Case Keenum has all year long, like I would assume that Marshawn Lattimore is going to take Stefon Diggs out of this game because he is technically, on paper, the bigger play threat. That's what happened in week 1 at least. So that means Thielen's just going to be open every play.
Thielen, Rudolph was big for the week off.
And yeah, Rudolph gets himself a little bit healthier with his ankle and his foot in the red zone. He's going to be a presence. I mean, I have more worries about Latavius Murray turning back into a pumpkin than Case Keenum turning back into a pumpkin. But if that means that they just start, I think that Jarek is better anyway. If that means if they can start using Jarek off tackle or even just hitting him in the flats and getting some, just opening up your offense a little bit more horizontally to get him going vertically instead of just pounding it up the middle with Latavius Murray every single time, I think that there is a chance here that this game resembles that one where the Vikings put a stomping on the Rams. That would be my path to victory for just New Orleans can't do anything. They can't run the ball.
That game was tied in the fourth quarter, too.
Sure, but just final score-wise, like 21-7, I could see the Vikings winning this game.
So if the Vikings get down 10 points, are they in big trouble?
I don't think so. I think their pass offense. I think that people have really misremembered who Case Keenum actually
100%.
is. Case Keenum's the guy who used to throw for 600 yards a week.
Yeah, Houston.
Yeah. Like he's not the game manager that but that could also work to their detriment too, because if he starts getting pressured, very elusive in the pocket. He likes to move around, but he's not afraid to just chuck it.
No, he's. I mean, you mentioned.
You see the parallels. Case Keenum is like a modern day Brett Favre. The last time these teams played in the playoffs, Brett Favre threw them out of it. Like, it's all lining up. Like, if you read all the entry, it just shows heartbreak is coming for the Vikings. Let there be no doubt.
Yeah, definitely modern day Brett Favre. I was going to say,
in terms of just gunslinging, not caring, throwing triple coverage. Yes,
sure. He's also been outstanding, to Pat's point, of doing a lot of those things that we were giving Wentz credit for, like just slippering out of like these like definite 9-yard lost sacks and up Chuck Kumalooing it down the field. Exchange student.
If he starts trying to throw into tight windows, that's the problem here. If New Orleans can jump up like 10-0 or like Tim was saying, and then Keenum, they know he's going to be passing every single time, and then he starts pressing the issue and starts trying to throw into really tight windows, that's when the wheels come off, I feel.
And here's the thing. Last week, when breaking down that Carolina-New Orleans game, to me it all came down to Carolina, as good as they are on defense, they play this zone defense. And a quarterback like Drew Brees, he'll pick that apart. That's not going to be the case as much.
Carolina also sold out into stopping the run last week, which they did very effectively. But then you forget that Drew Brees, the Hall of Famer, is on the other side of the ball, and he still got it.
And there's some in-game variance. Like if you were watching that game closely, or not even closely, it was very early. Cam Newton throws an absolute perfect pass that Buddy drops in the end zone. Like he couldn't have dropped it in the hands any way. Drew Brees makes that pass. The guy just happens, to catch it.
Drew Brees everyone's talking about the throw that he made to Josh Hill last week, where he threw it over Josh Hill's, right shoulder. It was the
touchdown, right?
No, just the one right up.
For a big first down.
For the big first down. It was the only spot. Like Josh Hill was the only guy on the field who could see that ball coming at him. It was a perfect throw. I thought the throw he made to Michael Thomas to convert the 3rd and 6.
Okay, that's the one I'm talking about.
Where he basically threw him open on a mini fade route near the sidelines. It was the most impressive throw of the weekend. It was incredible.
And that's the one Carolina got the ball back anyway, but that at the moment felt like
it is. And you think about Xavier Rhodes taking out Michael Thomas in this game. There's no coverage for that when the quarterback and the receiver are in simpatico, and he can throw you open just based on timing and knowing where that ball is going to go. But you can't cover that. Yeah. It's impossible.
Also, Drew Brees is a special breed of quarterback that he doesn't care if you're first team All-Pro. He's just who's open.
Yeah. So and then he tries to throw to Brendan Coleman and he just drops it.
Sure, but you can have your Xavier Rhodes and he can take away that great threat. But Drew Brees is not a guy that will ever try to. Well, I should say because he forced a few balls last week, but I just mean, like, he is not, like, there's no pre-hut, I'm going to this guy. Like, he just dissects.
I'm going to take Minnesota. I think their defense is the big factor in this game. I know how good the Saints' offense is, and I know their defense is not bad whatsoever, especially their pass rush. I just think from pass rush to run stopping to the secondary, Minnesota is a full unit on defense. They're completely healthy, and that's the way that I'm going to go with it. I'll take the -5. And if I'm wrong, hey, listen, Tim nailed it. If the Saints win this game, there's one thing Tim knows, it's curses. And this could just be a cursed time slot. Maybe Tim has reverse cursed it, though. So I'll bet on that.
Just the Vikings are a tragic team, and when you have tragic teams in the playoffs, you need to be on the lookout for when the tragedy will strike, because it always does.
And here's the other part of it. I'm sure Chiefs fan, because that game versus the Colts a couple years ago was that first Saturday game. I'm sure they're like, that first Saturday slot is the devil. We got to get out of that Saturday leadoff spot.
That Saturday leadoff spot can actually, on wildcard weekend, can be pretty deadly. I mean, that was the Music City Miracle, for example.
How long did it take you to go back and look at these games, Tim? I know how bad you are at the internet.
Well, I had an intuition that this last spot on divisional weekend was bad. And so once I figured out where it was on Wikipedia, I just started clicking back and back and back, and evidence was bolstering my case.
And the other part is, at first I wasn't sure where he was going, because historically, like, I don't think the buys are bad. I think they were just bad for the Chargers.
And yes,
we never won out of those.
San Diego was all over this. They were on the wrong side of every one of these games.
Well, you have to understand, Tim, we can't play Saturday at 1 o'clock or Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Sure they can as a road team.
But we've been home. All those games you referenced were home.
Well,
off buys, 14-2, off bye at home.
Okay, so one sec. Minnesota for me, New Orleans for you, Tim, and the coin. Tim, do you want to recap your 2 free monies here?
Yeah, at plus 260, you tease up the Eagles to 9. You tease the Patriots down to 7. You tease Pittsburgh down to just -1, freest money on the board, and New Orleans plus 11. Then for the money line parlay, just connect the Eagles, the Patriots, the Steelers who cannot lose, and the Saints. And there you go. That's plus 865. Let's go get some double money. So last week we can make a 4-team teaser or 4-team parlay. Let's go get it.
What's the money line parlay has New England?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to make a 4-teamer. I just don't want to. It's not.
Can't call it a 3-teamer. That pays 12 cents less.
Make a 4-teamer. I don't. The Patriots are not going to lose.
I agree. I still don't understand why he shorted himself on that point in the Philly game with the teaser.
Because I'd rather go with the plus 260.
Okay.
Get extra money out of this.
Greedy Tim trying to squeeze every penny.
Man, part of me hopes the Patriots, because I got a teaser too, and I got the Patriots at 6.
It's the Pittsburgh game that's going to fuck them. Please.
I hope.
Jacksonville has no chance. Pittsburgh is the freest money on the board. What usually happens in this spot, Geoff?
What is Pennsylvania's record this weekend?
0-2. Yeah, it has to be. There's no other way this turns out. The poor state of Pennsylvania just being cursed left, right, and center.
Yeah. We've got a Keystone connection this week. I feel it.
Can I ask a football question?
Yes.
Because I'm actually like this. I saw this news this morning. Norv Turner is going to be the offensive coordinator in Carolina. He used to be the defensive. Back in the Charger days, Ron Rivera was our defensive coordinator under Norv. So I kind of like this, and hindsight's 20/20, but we kept Norv, and Ron clearly was the leader of men. Norv never was, but I'm really excited for this because
I'm not. As it turns out, if you go back and look at where Norv Turner's offenses have actually ranked over the past 8 times he's been the offensive coordinator, it's not good. He's not a good coordinator.
No, he develops. Okay, fine. So
he was great when he had LT and Rivers. After that, he's been a disaster.
Okay, he was good with Aikman and Smith and LT and Rivers. Then I don't know what to tell you.
He went to San Francisco and resurrected Alex Smith's career.
A bit, yeah. Listen, maybe play calling isn't his forte, but
you think he can rein Cam in?
That'll be interesting because I'll tell you what. If you've known Norv, you've been watching football since the late '80s.
Yeah, since 1971.
He's never called a read option. He's never called a zone read. I assure you. Actually, that's a lie. Alex Smith, you would have called those, 100%. But
Tim, do you like the move?
I don't mind it.
Well, then it's settled. Terrible move.
The those two are comfortable together. I think Norv's still got a pretty intelligent offensive mind. I mean, he also knows what he's getting into by taking a team over by Cam Newton. You have to call a different type of offense when you have a different type of quarterback, one who is going to make a lot of plays on the ground and is not just a pure pocket passer. But if he can constrain Newton to maybe throw the ball a little more and run a little less, I don't think that would do them any injury. And so, yeah, I mean, I think Carolina's got the pieces next year to be an excellent football team. And they were, one game away, a tiebreaker away from winning the division this year. Like the arrows are pointing up for the Panthers, not down.
Division's so hard, though.
Norv, completely Anderkirst now. Anderkirst to the max.
Do you want to know the worst thing?
What?
Because I got some great videos on my trip in Canton, but I had a cell phone malfunction, and I missed my best video. Did not get recorded. It was like tragedy. I saw Norv, and I ran up to him. I accosted him with my camera in his face, asking if it's true what Bill Simmons says, that he hits on like 17 and that he hits on like 18 in blackjack. He vehemently denied it.
That's good news, because I would not be... That's the move I pull at a blackjack table when there's some loser at the end that I want to leave. Oh, 19? Hit me, please. And then he gets all mad and leaves, and I get the table to myself.
I would just leave myself before
sometimes
hitting on 19.
Sometimes there's not...
Okay, so you're sacrificing...
Taking one for the team.
Yeah.
I'm taking the bullet for the team. Hey, Tim, remember that time that guy said he was going to cut me at the table?
Well, he didn't quite... It was not that direct, but it was clearly a veiled threat that if you kept hitting with your gaming glove on, that it was going to go badly for you.
I get really boozed up and bring in a golf glove and call it my gaming glove, and I would hit and wave with it.
That was happening.
I have a lot of fun at casinos. People take themselves a bit too seriously there. They need to calm down a little bit. One more news item I did want to get to, and Geoff, you did bring this up, and I actually wanted to talk about it with you. To solve the Los Angeles Chargers kicking woes, they have signed Roberto Aguayo. That's going to turn out well.
Okay, let's just reel this in a bit. It's a future reserve contract. He's coming to camp. Maybe there will be other bodies.
You'd be better off going to when you were 13 and you went to Jewish camp, you'd be better off going there right now to find a kicker rather than this dude.
Here's the thing. His ceiling was one of the best college kickers we've ever seen.
Would you have a ceiling on a kicker?
The
guy can't make an extra point.
Listen, I'm not saying...
You should have kept Siwoo Kim.
The Chargers have, they are clearly starting, have blown it up in terms of the kicker thing, and they are just bringing in guys that maybe, if he has the greatest camp ever, maybe he can win the job. Is he going to camp without anyone else? That's a fallacy. We're going to aggressively try to solve this problem. This is step one in that aggressiveness.
Okay.
It just seems like there's an ineluctable reality that the Chargers are just going to have bad kickers. This is how it is. Some teams some teams never get over their certain specific problems.
I have so much confidence. If you look at the talent on the Chargers and the drafting that's been done there by the current GM, Tom Telesco, and I watched the half-hour prep. He was so sad at himself because he let the team down in terms of how they handled the kicker thing. The talent on the team is so front-end. It is so amazing. Next year, Jason Verrett's coming back. Oh, man. Everyone's in trouble if we can get a league median kicker.
I have a working theory that the Chargers will not have a good kicker until Phillip Rivers retires. And then they'll have an awesome kicker, but they'll have a shitty quarterback.
I hate your theory.
Doesn't that seem like what's going to happen? Like, all of a sudden, the Chargers don't have the offense that they have now. Rivers isn't there. It's some rookie who's terrible. And then, boom, they have a guy who makes 55s, no problem. All right, that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience breakdown for the divisional games. You can check out the cheat sheet up on facebook.com/thepme. But I would like to thank Tim Anderkirst.
Tim Anderkirst.
That's not my name. Also,
Tim Triggercast.
Not my name. People, please stop sending me photos of that dog. I don't need it. Stop it, please.
Doug. I saw it the other day. Doug said, much better to take a hot shower than go out into the freezing cold. And you know what? I agree with Doug.
Well,
I'm on Team Doug.
You called it. He's hardcore Titans.
Yeah.
So that's so good.
Elitist eating his animal-style fries from In-N-Out Burger. Elite AF.
Millennials use AF.
Yeah, Tim's a millennial. This is why.
Just pointing that out.
Geoff Fienberg. Follow him on Twitter at gfienberg17. You can follow Tim on Twitter at timanderson87. You can follow me, Pat Mayo, at the PME on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio versions on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Audio Boom for the video versions up on the DK Live app and the Draftkings YouTube page. Always uncut, uncensored, and free of charge. Give the episode a like. It means a lot to me. Or a review. Goes a long way. And I'm Pat Mayo. Good luck in the divisional round. I'll see you next time.